He's been cooking the book since the second funding round. Anya's voice, tinny and tight through my encrypted speaker, echoed in my small apartment. The whole company is a house of cards. On my screen, I pulled up the files she'd sent. Labyrinthine spreadsheets, falsified invoices, phantom shell corporations. The scale of the fraud was breathtaking, a work of art in its own dark way. Julian hadn't just stolen a company, he'd built an empire on a foundation of pure fiction. "Then let's pull one out," I replied, my voice a low murmur. But to pull that card, I had to trust the last person on Earth I ever thought I would. And just hours before, trust was a currency I didn't have. It had started with 2 words on a screen, glowing in the dark. A reply to the single line of code I'd risked everything to send her. A breadcrumb only the true author of the Aegis core would recognize. "Hello, Leo," my heart hammered against my ribs. It was a greeting and a death sentence all at once. Anya Sharma, Julian's brilliant head of engineering, the woman who sat in my old office, knew my name. She knew I was alive. She knew I was inside her system. Every horror scenario played out in my mind. A trace was already running. A SWAT team was closing in. This was it, the end of my quiet war. I forced a breath. Panic was a luxury. My fingers flew across the keyboard, typing a response into the secure channel I'd left open for her. A channel that would evaporate in 60 seconds. "You have 1 minute to join a new link, or this conversation never happened." I pasted an encrypted address, a dead man's switch. If she was tracing me, clicking it would trigger a cascade of false signals, sending her security team on a wild goose chase through servers in 4 different countries. It would also burn my access. A one-shot deal. The seconds ticked by, 50, 40. My cursor hovered over the kill command for the ghost, my finger twitching, 30. Was this Julian's masterstroke, using the one person I thought might have a conscience to bait his trap? 20. Then a notification, she was in. Her face appeared on my screen, a grainy image from her laptop camera. She was in her office, the one with the sweeping view of the city I used to love. She looked pale, exhausted. "How?" she asked. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were wide. "The system is locked down. I designed the firewalls myself." "You designed them to keep people out," I said. "Not to keep the architect from visiting his own house." A flicker of understanding. "The ghost," she whispered. "It was an old name, a joke between us from the early days, for the backdoor I'd built into the system's core. A fail-safe only I knew about." "I thought that was a myth." "Julian has a habit of turning myths into money," I said. "And people into ghosts. Now, why did you answer? You could have locked me out. You could have called your security team." She leaned forward, her face filling the screen. "Because I saw the line of code you sent, the recursive loop in the validation protocol. It was elegant, perfect, and I knew Julian Croft could never have written it." A pause. "No one's written code like that since my brother." The name hung in the air, David Sharma. I remembered him, a quiet, intense junior coder from the very beginning. He'd burned out, quit the industry, Julian had said, moved away. We'd all been too busy, too focused on the launch to question it. "Your brother worked for us," I said carefully. "A long time ago." "He didn't just work for you, Leo," Anya said, and for the first time, a fissure of raw emotion cracked her composure. "He created the original concept, the entire framework for Aegis. It was his thesis project. He showed it to Julian, his mentor, looking for advice." Her laugh was brittle, a terrible sound. "Julian gave him advice, all right. He told him it was clever but unworkable, that he should focus on something more practical." I felt a cold, not tighten, in my stomach. I remembered the pitch meeting. Julian, so confident, so visionary, laying out a plan that seemed to have sprung fully formed from his head. 6 months later, Anya continued, her voice dropping, "David saw the press release for Aegis. Your names, his architecture. It broke him. He accused Julian, who threatened to ruin him, to blacklist him so he could never code again. My brother, he spiraled. He lost everything." She looked straight at me, her eyes glistening. "He died 2 years ago, an overdose. The official report called it an accident. The silence that followed was heavy, filled with the ghosts of two men. One erased from his own life, the other driven out of his. Julian hadn't just betrayed me, it was his pattern, he was a predator. He didn't just steal the idea, I said, a sudden memory surfacing, sharp and clear. A piece of the puzzle I never knew I had. The Orion core, the central processing module, I always wondered about that code. It was different, cleaner, more elegant than anything else Julian ever wrote. He took credit for it, but I always thought it felt foreign. Anya closed her eyes. David named it after his favorite constellation. The twist wasn't that she had a motive. The twist was that I'd been staring at the proof of Julian's first great crime for years and had been too blind, too trusting to see it. It wasn't just her word against his. The evidence was right there, buried in the digital DNA of the company he'd stolen. A signature, her brother's ghost in my machine. He owes you a debt, I said. He owes us both, she corrected. So what's the plan, Leo? How do we make him pay? Our alliance was forged in that shared grief, that cold clarity. She became my inside source, a phantom moving through the halls of Aegis. She fed me coordinates, and I used the ghost to execute surgical strikes. We started with the financials. It's here, she'd say over our secure line. The capital expenditure reports for the third quarter. They are inflated. Check the invoices from a company called Cygnus Holdings. I'd dive in. Cygnus Holdings was a shell corp, registered in a country with lax banking laws. Julian was using it to siphon millions, disguising it as R&D spending. He wasn't just a thief, he was a clumsy one, arrogant enough to believe no one would ever look. That's when we found the bigger lie. The one that propped up the whole company. It was breathtaking. It was the moment from my flash forward, the realization that Julian's fraud wasn't a series of small cheats, but the very foundation of his empire. We can't expose all of this at once, Anya said, her voice strained. He'd bury it, call it a clerical error. We need to force their hand. We give them a loose thread, I agreed. Something they can't ignore. I packaged a single, undeniable piece of evidence, an altered invoice linked to a non-existent supplier, and sent it from a burner account to a notoriously relentless financial journalist. We didn't have to wait long. The next afternoon, I watched it happen on a live news feed. The ticker at the bottom of the screen suddenly flashed. Aegis Systems plunges amid rumors of SEC inquiry. The camera was on Julian, leaving a conference. He was smiling, waving off questions, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. For the first time since he'd destroyed my life, I saw it. A flicker of genuine fear. It was a small taste of victory, but it was intoxicating. The fallout inside Aegis was immediate. Anya fed me the chatter. The board was in a panic. Emergency meetings were called. Julian was on a rampage, paranoid and cornered. He's blaming everyone, Anya's message read. He thinks there's a traitor on the executive team. Stay clear, I typed back. Let him chase shadows. But I had underestimated the ferocity of a cornered animal. My system, monitoring Aegis's internal security network, suddenly lit up with alerts. New surveillance protocols, active tracking on all senior-level keycards, digital monitoring on their corporate devices. Julian wasn't just chasing shadows, he was putting a leash on everyone. Including Anya. My blood ran cold. I sent her a warning. He's watching you, all of you, be careful. The reply came back instantly, but it wasn't words. It was a data packet, a copy of a work order from Julian to Marcus, his head of security. The subject line, physical surveillance. Below it was a list of 5 names. The third name was Anya Sharma. My stomach dropped. I had led her right into the fire. Before I could even type a response, a new message flashed on my screen from her. It was in all caps, frantic. I'm compromised. He's on to me, pulling out. My heart seized. She was exposed. Our whole operation was blown. I had to get her out. But then, a second message appeared, just 3 words, and the world stopped turning. He's coming to my office.